We are doing US 127. So, I finished the US 35 video, and I stopped recording for US 127 like March or April. I don't know why I did this, so let's not do it again today. So, US 127 heads from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and it ends on I-75 in Michigan. Let's do it! US 27 is signed for Dayton. I rather see Harriman. And we are signed for Signal Mountain with US 127. This will be my camp. I will go in June. Signal Mountain. We are looking at the nice scenery in the mountains. Here is a Taft Highway lookout. You can see all the scenery on US 127. That is some nice scenery. Tennessee 111 is signed for Chattanooga and Sparta, so we're heading to Crossville with US 127. Here's US 70 on this street. US 70 will go into Nashville. It'll go to Kingston. So it's just for Knoxville for US 70. At this side, there's Interstate 40. Oh yeah! US 70 follows Interstate 40 in North Carolina, Tennessee. I don't know about Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, or New Mexico, and Arizona. Interstate 40 gets signed for Nashville and Knoxville, respectively. And what is this sign for US 127? Let's go check it out. It says Roadway Improvements Phase 1, completed in fall of 2026. Improvements. So we're getting something for a roadway for US 127. We are visiting Alvin C. York State Park in Tennessee. And welcome to Kentucky. We are meeting Business US 127. Here's the Cumberland River, because we're the bottom of the dam. Here's the lake over here. So there's another nice scenery over there on that bridge. We are meeting the Parkway in Kentucky. That is a long way. We are meeting US 150. This will take you into Mount Vernon, where it will end. So we're about to rejoin US 150. This US 150 I'll do tomorrow after my US 78 video come out. We are splitting off with US 150, so US 127 is turning right. We are going to skip US 68 because we already did the US 68 video when I'm doing for May 25th. So let's skip US 68. Here's US 62. So US 62 is now Truck US 62. US 62 is going into Georgetown. 62 will be turning right. So 127 is turning straight. We are meeting Interstate 64. That is signed for Louisville and Lexington. Those are great choices. And we're signed for Frankfort, Kentucky State Capital. Wow! That is the capital of Kentucky. Okay, that is awesome. Here's US 60 on this street. The great US 60. We are joining US 421 in Frankfort. And now we're splitting off with US 421, so US 127 will head into Cincinnati. Every time we're in the middle of nowhere on US 127 in Kentucky. Here's Interstate 71. Southbound will take you into Louisville, Kentucky, and then 71 North is signed for Cincinnati. That is a great choice. We are meeting US 42. US 42 I will do in August. And officially US 25 is joining us. Here's Interstate 275 for Airport, Kentucky 17. Interstate 71 to 75. Why are you putting worst towns? I'd rather see, like, whatever town you can get for Indianapolis or whatever, Columbus, Dayton. Why? Why are y'all doing this? And welcome to Ohio. Now US 25 ends. So US 127 and 42 continues. At this point, here's US 22. I don't know where US 22 is. We are meeting Interstate 275 again. It says to Interstate 75. So Interstate 75 we met in Kentucky, and now in Cincinnati. We're going to meet it hopefully in Michigan. At this point, we are meeting US 35. US 35 will take you into downtown Dayton. And then US 35 will take you into Indiana. And eventually we are meeting Interstate 70. That it says for Indianapolis and Dayton. That is a great choice for Dayton. But I much rather see Columbus. We're meeting US 40. US 40 will take you into Springfield, Ohio through Indianapolis, like Interstate 70 does. We are joining US 36, because I'll do my US 36 video until June. US 36 is signed for Greenville and Piqua, I don't know. So US 127 is staying straight. In Mercer, we're meeting US 33. So I already done my video on US 33 since March. We are meeting US 30 for Fort Wayne, Depalos, and Decatur for US 30. There's US 224. I don't know why we have US 224 on that road. Here's US 24. 24 would be signed for anything for US 24. Defiance. I'd rather see Toledo for US 24. And Fort Wayne for US 24. Whoa! So Indiana. So Ohio is going to sign Fort Wayne and Defiance. So ODOT's doing good. Here's US 6. The great US 6. US 6 will take you into Bowling Green and then to Indiana. We are signed for Pioneer for 16 miles. Okay, I'm skipping for all the small towns then. Oh no, we are meeting US 20A. Why are we getting US 20A? There is no interchange for Interstate 80 and 90. They are both signed for Toledo and for Gary, Indiana. We're meeting US 20, the great US 20, and then we're splitting off with US 20. Oh no. And welcome to Pure, Michigan, the last state for US 127. Here's US 223. That will take you into Ohio. Here's US 12. US 12 will take you into Detroit and to Indiana. We're joining Interstate 94. It's signed for Detroit for eastbound. Westbound is for Chicago. And we're signed for Lansing for US 127. We are signed for Lansing for US 127. So we're splitting off with Interstate 94 while it goes into Chicago. Interstate 94 will go into Indiana first, and then it'll go into Chicago. At this point, we're meeting Interstate 96 for Grand Rapids, and Detroit, Michigan for Interstate 96. It is only part of Michigan for Interstate 96. At this point, we're on Interstate 496 in Lansing, and here's Interstate 69 for Grand Rapids and Flint to Interstate 96. So we're assigned for Clare for US 127. I'd rather see Mount Pleasant for US 127, but Claire's an okay choice. And now US 10 is joining us. US 10 is leaving us for Ludington and Cadillac. So US 127 is signed for Mackinac Bridge. So we're about to end on I-75 ramp. And now US 127 is about to end. So we're about to end on Interstate 75. Eventually. And now US 127 ends. So Interstate 75 continues into Grayling for Mackinac Bridge. Oh yeah, I forgot for Ohio and Kentucky for Interstate 75. Let me go check real quick. Oh yeah, we forgot. Interstate 71 South and 75 South are both Louisville, Kentucky and Lexington, Kentucky. 75 and 71 northbounds are signed for Cincinnati. So, let's go back. That is it for US 127. So, tomorrow I will do a video for a US highway. That will be coming tomorrow after my US 78 video. So, see you next time. Goodbye.